All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all the honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles, great millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Bayat Adawadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad. I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. Okay, Sunday evening camp, and we're going to go into the 12 tribes of Israel and who they are today. Okay, and it's all through the Spirit. You have to have faith to believe in this, because excuse me, we're going to a little bit of secular history, and we're going to get some scripture on it. So let me grab my chart here real quick. So, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, and the speckled bird whose father's lines go back. Okay, this is for you. You have Judah, the so-called Negroes or Black Americans. You have Benjamin, the so-called West Indians or Jamaicans. You have Levi, the so-called Haitians. Simeon, the Dominicans. Zebulon, which is Guatemala to Panamanians. Ephraim, the Puerto Ricans. Manasseh, the Cubans. Gad, Native Americans. Reuben, Seminole Indians. And Naphtali, Argentinians to Chile. Asher, Colombians to Uruguayans. And Issachar, the so-called Mexicans. So we're gonna go ahead and Slovakia. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this. Lord willing, that'll be edifying. So we're gonna get the book of Genesis, chapter 49. Genesis chapter 49. Okay, we're going to start with the tribe of Judah, the so-called Negroes, who are more commonly known today as Black Americans or African Americans. Okay, Genesis chapter 49, verse 1. And it says, "And Jacob called unto his sons, and said, Gather yourself together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days." Talking about right now, because we are now living the last days. Verse 2 says, Gather yourselves together, hear ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Jacob was surnamed Israel, okay? All right, now we're gonna drop down to verse 8, and it says Judah, okay? Judah, when you go to the Hebrew, Judah is pronounced Yahwadah, which means Yahweh thanks or thank Yahweh. Okay, and it says, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Okay, so Judah, or Yahweh, being the head tribe. Okay, so Judah is the head tribe. Okay, they're the top tribe of the nation of Israel. They excel at everything, and if you look at, you could even look this up, you can Google it or whatever, that mainly Judah excels at everything. You know, sports, art, music, you know, you name it. Judah is that top tribe, and it says right here in verse 9, Judah is a lion's whelp, from the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? Well, Judah is in a spiritually dead state, because look at the way a lot of so-called Negroes act nowadays. They act like niggas, man. They're just, rebellious, wild, don't know right from wrong. They're ignorant as hell, and they're and a lot of them are in the prison system. But you know what? Let me see here. And I'm gonna go back to verse 8, and it says, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Well, that's because in these last days, when the Lord turns us up, he's going to start with the tribe of Judah. Okay, because Judah's going to, like I said, being the top tribe, they're going to be, they're going to have their enemy's neck in their hand. Meaning, they're gonna take over and rule over these other heathen nations, man. Once we get that power, Lord willing. Okay, now verse 10, and it says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and to him shall the gathering of the people be. Okay, so when you go into the Great Awakening, when you go back to the One West camp thing, back in 1969, the Great Awakening started with Abba Bivens, right? And who would be the first tribe that would awaken to this truth? It'd be the tribe of Judah. And to prove that, let's see, we're going to go to the book of Psalms. Give me a second here. Psalms chapter... Psalms chapter 18. Let me get there real quick. Psalms chapter 18, verse 40. Excuse me. And it says, thou hast given me the neck of mine enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. And it says, they cry, but there was none to save them, even unto the Lord, but he answered them not. Verse 42, then did I beat them small as the dust before the wind. I did cast them out as the dirt in the streets. Okay, and let me see. And in verse 33, it says, thou hast delivered me from the strivings of the people, and thou hast made me the head of the heathen, and people whom I have not known shall serve me. Okay, so when Yahushua comes back and establishes the kingdom of heaven here on earth, Judah is going to be the top tribe. They're going to be the top across the board. They're going to be the head, and Yahushua himself is from the tribe of Judah. Okay, and being saved from the strivings of the people, those people talking about these heathen nations, the strivings, they do whatever they can to keep you down, to keep you oppressed, to keep you at the lowest of the low. They don't want you to excel. But Judah is the lion, man. He has that power. He has that strength. Now I'm going to go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33. Deuteronomy 33 and 7, and it says, and this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou an help to him from his enemies. Okay? So, Judah is going to be, like I said, with the awakening, Judah was going to be the first one to wake up to this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, followed by the rest of the tribes. So Judah is number one at the top. Okay? And, he's going to be, and let's see here. Salaki, give me a second. All right, give me a second. I'm going to go to Zechariah chapter 12 real quick here. Zechariah chapter 12. Verse 7. And it says right here, in Zechariah 12 and 7, the Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. Okay? In verse 8, and it says, let's see here. Yep. Verse 8, it says, in that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, at the house of David shall be as the power, as the angel of the Lord before them. 9, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Verse 10, and I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplication, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as the one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. Okay, so not only will Judah wake up first, but Judah is also going to be saved first, right? So when they get that spiritual power, you know, Judah is going to be, he's going to be that lion again, that fearless lion. And also talking about when the elect get saved, they're going to see the body of Yahushua whom they have pierced. And it's going to be a very bitter feeling, man. It's going to be very bitter. It's going to be hurtful to see that. We're going to see the body of Yahushua which was pierced. And that's going to stir up that's going to stir up that righteous indignation. Okay? It's going to stir up that righteous indignation within Judah and of course the other tribes as well. Okay? Get Hebrews here. Slovakia. Hebrews chapter 7 verse 14. Skipped it. Hebrews 7 and 14. And it says, for it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning the priesthood. Okay? So there you go. So Yahushua is from the tribe of Yehoiada in the Hebrew, which means thank Yahweh or Yahweh thanks. So that means that, you know, the Messiah is not a so-called white man. Okay? The Yahushua, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, is a so-called black man. And we're going to get that right here in the book of Revelation, chapter 1. Okay, Revelation chapter 1, starting at verse 7. It says, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him. And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, Amen. Okay? So, all the kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Meaning wail is going to be a very... Wail means to cry, but this is going to be a cry of fear and terror. Because the Lord's going to stir up that spirit of him, and they're going to be like, it's him. They're going to remember in their spirit that this was the man that they crucified. And they're going to know that... and they're going to know in that day, and it's going to be a world of pure hell for them. And it says here, verse 8, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. And it says here, okay, here we go. Dropping down to verse 14, it says, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass. Fine brass is if they burn in the furnace, so the color brass is a derivative of brown, right? Now, what happens if you take brass, you put it in a furnace? Well, hell, if you put anything in a furnace and you burn it, it's going to turn darker, right? So, letting you know that he was a very dark-skinned man. Okay, his feet unto fine brass is if they burn in the furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters, which means he has a very masculine, austere, and commanding voice. Okay? Get out of here. Okay? And now, let's see. So that right there's letting you know that Yahushua is a so-called black man. He's not the Christianity image of so-called of Cesare Borgia, who was a so-called white man. All right, now we're gonna go to Matthew Matthew 1 and 1. Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. And it says, the book of the generation of Yahushua HaMashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Okay? So there you go. So the generation, you know, the loins, you know, this is the line of David. And King David was an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. And those that follow him, his descendants were also Judites, including Yahushua. Okay? Next, we're going to go to the tribe of Benjamin. Okay? The tribe of Benjamin, which is the so-called West Indies, which are also known as Jamaicans. And as you can see, I myself am from that tribe. And when you go to the Hebrew, Benjamin is pronounced Banyamyan, which means son of the right. Okay? Now we're going to go back to Genesis chapter 49. Starting at verse number, let's see. Verse 27. And it says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. Okay? So, when you look up the characteristics of a wolf, like for example, like if you look up the howling, like when wolves howl, they do it for communication, for like if there's prey nearby, danger, or to call forth one of their members of the pack, right? Now, when you go into the history, you can Google something called the Rastafarians, okay? Which was according to Jamaican, it was a religious movement. And you can even look up the music of reggae. When you look into that, they talk about things like they mention a lot of their songs about Babylon, and how Rastafari is like the rebellion against the oppression of Babylon, and then Babylon goes against what they call the will of Jah. But we all know that with Jah and supposedly the Rastafarian thing is the power of Yahweh. But you know, that's just let you know that, you know, through their music and their little religion, that, you know, Banyamyan is you know, they through the music, they tell you they tell you those subliminal messages through the music, you know, about, you know, who is Babylon and what it is today. Okay? And we'll see here. Yeah, so I'm going to read verse 27 again. So Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey at night, and at night he shall divide the spoil. So, you know, and they even talk about through their music, reggae, that, you know, oppression and rebelling against the government and all that. So, you know, they know that we're in Babylon. They know. And you could even look up during the time of the French and Spanish conquest over here in the Caribbean islands, man. You know, and you can look that up on your own time. Just can't remember the specific details, but you know, this is something that they all went through, along with the other tribes that are in the Caribbean, like, you know, Manasseh, Ephraim, Zebulon, and so on and so forth. And I'll get to those in a second. So yeah, so in the morning he shall devour the prey, and the night shall divide the spoil. So when that time comes, you know, Banyamyan, he's gonna get his 2 cents in. You know, Lord willing, that I'm of the elect, as well as you sincere brothers and sisters. You know, all the tribes are gonna get their fair share of Esau, Edom. Okay, we're all gonna get our turn. because this devil he's got to go. All right. Next is going to be Levi and Simeon. Okay. In the Hebrew, Levi goes to Lawaya or Lawya, I believe. Lawya, and then Simeon is Shemaiwan. And Levi are the so-called Haitians, and Shemaiwan, Simeon, are the so-called Dominicans. Okay? And now I'm going to go to Genesis chapter 49, verse 5. And it says, Simeon and Levi are brethren, instruments of cruelty are in their habitation. Okay? So, instruments of cruelty. You know, if you look at the Haitian and Dominican culture on that particular island of Hispaniola, you can look that they practice voodoo and all that other sort of witchcraft shit. Okay, and now, and if you go into, you know, how they're separated, that was during the, how France and Spain used to fight over that land. But it came to a point where, you know, you know, France, Haiti, got their independence from France, and Dominican got their independence from Spain. Okay, but you know, those two Edomite nations left their mark on Levi and Simeon. Okay, and it says here, verse 6, O my soul, come not thou into the secret unto their assembly, my honor, be not thou united, for in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. Verse 7, cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Okay, and as you know, Haiti and the Dominican Republic, they are separated by something that's called the Massacre River, and you can look that up for yourself. In that Massacre River, they usually, it's said that they cross the river to do trades, you know, but aside from that, they don't really, you know, Haiti and the Dominican Republic don't really get along. And why is that? Because of Esau Edom. You know, you had the French and the Spaniards go over there, and like I said, fighting for that land, you know, messing up Levi and Simeon, turning them against one another. And so now you have the Haiti who are colonized by the French, and the Dominican Republic who were colonized by the Spaniards. All right, so let's see here. So you can look that up on your own time from the Dominican Republic and Haiti relations, and and tell you a lot why those two don't really see eye to eye. And that also goes into one of the curses. Let me get it. Maybe the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let's see. It's Deuteronomy chapter 28. Where it says, thine eye shall be evil towards thy brother. I know it's in here, just bear with me one moment. Oh my gosh, and I've seen this plenty of times. Oh boy, let's see here. Okay, let's Slack it that this is taking so long. Oh my gosh. I know it's in here. Let's see here. It'll come back to me. I'll get to it. I don't want to waste time trying to waste too much time looking for it, but it'll come back. All right, this is going to be next. Is going to be the tribe of Zebulun. All right, now we're going to go back to Genesis chapter 49. Genesis chapter 49. Chapter 49, verse 13. And it says, Genesis chapter 49, verse 13, it says, Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. And before I go into that, I meant to tell you that Levi in the Hebrew loya means joined together, and Simeon Shemaiwan, affliction is heard. Okay, and also Levi was given the priesthood of the nation of Israel. They were basically your you could say your lawyers of Israel. So where do you think the name where do you think these modern day lawyers get it from? Loya, which is Hebrew for Levi. Okay? All right, so okay, now going back to Zebulun, Genesis 49:13. Zebulun in the Hebrew means Zabalawan, which means dwelling. And it says, he shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. So when you Google up something called the Panama Canal expansion, it'll tell you that is it's one of the greatest ports. It's a major port for trade routes. It has over 100 maritime routes to and from over 80 countries. So it's a trade route it's a port for trade, resources and all that other stuff. And you can look that up for yourself. And it's all from Central America, from Guatemala to Panama. Okay? And we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 33. Deuteronomy 33. Deuteronomy 33 and 18. And it says, in Zebulun, and of Zebulun he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. Verse 19, it says, they shall call the people unto the mountain, there they shall offer sacrifice of righteousness, for they shall suck of the abundance of the sea, and of treasures hid in the sand. Okay, talking about that abundance. Okay, and Issachar in thy tents. Issachar dwells amongst Zebulun. Okay, they're Central and South America, Central America and Mexico are right there, right next to each other. And you could also look up the first republic of Central America, which goes into how all those countries within Central America, they were all one before they became all those several different smaller countries. they won their independence back in the early 1800s. But even to this day, it's a major port for trade, for resources and all that. Like I said, the information is out there. You can look it up for yourself. Next, we're going into the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh, who came out of the loins of Joseph. Okay, now this is going to be Genesis, the 49th chapter. Genesis chapter 49, verse 22. And it says, Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over by the wall. Okay, fruitful meaning the time when he was in in fact, let me get it. I'm gonna go right to it. I'm gonna go right to the Genesis chapter 41, just to prove that point here. Genesis 41 and Genesis chapter 41 and verse 50. And it says, and unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the year of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, the priest of On, bare unto him. And verse 51, and Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh. Okay, and the Hebrew for that is Manasseh, which means made to forget. For the Most High said, he hath made me forget all my toil. Yeah, because Joseph went through hell when he was over there in the captivity of Egypt, when his brothers gave him up, when his brothers did him dirty like that. Because it was jealousy, because he happened to be the favorite of Jacob. And it says, and all my father's house. Okay. Now verse 52, and the name of the second called he Ephraim, which is Aparayam, which means fruitful. For the Most High hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Okay, because, you know, the Pharaoh over there made Joseph, you know, a ruler. Okay, he gave him abundance. He basically gave him everything he needed and wanted. You know, the Lord was with him in that day, so the Pharaoh pretty much gave him a high position of authority and power. All right, now you can go to the book of Genesis, again, the 48th chapter, verse 17. And it says, and when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon him, upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. And he held up his father's hand and to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great, but truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. Okay? So Ephraim is the head tribe of the northern kingdom. Okay? While Judah is the head tribe of the southern kingdom. But overall, Judah is the head tribe of the nation of Israel as a whole. And we're going to get that here in Ezekiel, Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 15. And it says, and the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, moreover, the son of man, take thee one stick, write upon it for Judah, and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. Verse 18, and when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Verse 19, saying to them, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand. So Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is going to take the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom and bring them back together as one whole. One nation, one family. All right? And you could even look up, if you want to go into more of the secular history of who the so-called the tribe of Ephraim, who are the so-called Puerto Ricans, and the tribe of Manasseh, who are the so-called Cubans. If you want to go more into the history, you can look up something called the Taino natives. They are the natives of not just Puerto Rico, but of Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and the Caribbean islands. Okay? And also, Puerto Rico means rich port, or port of riches. Okay? And also, I'm going to get Hosea. Hosea chapter 7, verse 8. And it says, Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. So for example of that, like take a pancake. Okay, if one side is being cooked or burnt, it's going to be dark, but if one other side is not cooked, it looks light-skinned, right? So when you can look up what modern day Puerto Ricans look like, and a lot of them are light-skinned. Okay, basically Puerto Ricans are basically a light-skinned Negro. That's basically what they are. A light-skinned Spanish-speaking Negro. Okay? And you can look up Cubans. I mean, like I said, we're all shades of brown, yes. But you can, like I said, Ephraim is a cake not turned. He's light-skinned. There are some dark-skinned Puerto Ricans, yes. And Cubans, a lot of the ones I've seen were dark. Okay, so Ephraim is greater than his brother Manasseh because he's the head of the northern kingdom. Okay. And now we're going to go into the tribe of Gad, which is the so-called Native Americans. All right, now back to Genesis. This is going to be Genesis chapter 49, Slovakia. Genesis chapter 49, verse 19. And it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Okay? Now, give me a second. Now, when you go into that word, now, when you look up the so-called Native Americans, when you do your history on them, they are a warrior tribe, okay? And they're known for their athleticism and their warrior-like nature. They are a warrior tribe of, in fact, let me get Genesis chapter 30. Genesis chapter 30, verse 9, and it says, When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. And let's see. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, a troop cometh, and she called his name Gad. Okay? So if you look at the history of the Native Americans, what did they have to go through? Let's go, during the so-called Age of Discovery, which is Esau Edom's false history and false science. Okay? Let's talk about the Mayflower of 1620, when they came over here, those pilgrims. When they came over here, and of course, we all know the history of Thanksgiving, which is really Thanksgilling. They came with those smooth words, gained the tribe of Gad's trust, and then 3 days later, after the partying and the celebrating and all that, what did those Edomite pilgrims do? They slaughtered Gad. They wiped out, I can't remember the exact number, how many members of the tribe of Gad they wiped out, but it was in the millions. So Gad got fucked up. Okay? But hey, you know what? It was all through Bible prophecy. Okay? This was meant to happen, according to the Lord's will. Okay, now I'm going to get the book of Deuteronomy. Chapter 30, verse 20. And it says, that thou mayest love the Lord thy power, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him, for he is thy life. In the length of thy days, that thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto the fathers of Abraham, Isaac, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. Okay? Salakia, that was the wrong one, but the one I meant to get was 1 Chronicles. Salakia. 1 Chronicles, chapter 12, verse 8. Let me get that real quick. Yeah, boy. 1 Chronicles 12 and 8. And it says, and of the Gadites there separated themselves unto David into the wilderness, men of might and men of war, fit for the battle, that could handle shield and buckler, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and were as swift as the roes upon the mountains. So again, the tribe of Gad, the so-called Native Americans, are a warrior tribe with superior athleticism and combat prowess. They are, all the tribes of Israel are warriors, yes, but the tribe of Gad is specifically known for being a warrior tribe, okay? They are warriors. Strong, and going to a little bit more history, you could look up something, the origin of the sport known as lacrosse. That was originally from the tribe of Gad, and I can't remember the specific details, but that's a sport that can get you into, it'll tire you out and get you into shape. But so-called Native Americans, the Gadites, they are, like I said, they're fit for battle. They were in great shape, had stamina, endurance, strength. Okay, next is going to be the tribe of Reuben, who is the so-called Seminole Indians. Okay, going back to Genesis. Oh, Salakia, dropped my notes. All right, so we're going to get the tribe of Reuben here. Genesis chapter 49. Okay, Reuben, the so-called Seminole Indians, and when you go into in the name Gad means troop. Now the name Reuben in the Hebrew is Ra'awaban. Okay, and it means it's a son. All right, Genesis 49:3, and it says, Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Verse 4, unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it. He went up to my couch. Okay. Now, Reuben, like I said, when you look up the word Seminole, it means runaway, wild, or wild. And when you look at their history, you can look up the history of the Seminole Wars. Okay, when Esau Edom came over here, you see there was the Seminole Wars, which started over in Florida, where the so-called Seminole Indians were dwelling at the time. You see what they mean. Let's see what the scriptures say by my firstborn, my might, the beginning of my strength, and the excellency of dignity and excellency of power. You see, and also it says here, unstable as water, meaning that they were wild. And like what they mean by the excellency of strength and power is that, the tribe of Reuben, like I said, being wild, and they were also very strong, and they were very headstrong. Okay, they were not going to bend the knee to those to the Edomite colonizers. They were going to fight to the very death. And you could look at the history of the Seminole Wars, and you could see that Reuben, I think it was during the third or second Seminole Wars when they were. I think it was during the third one was when they were finally overtaken, and then of course, just like the tribe of Gad with the Trail of Tears, they were removed out of their land, forced out of their habitats. Okay, so yeah, so Reuben also is a warrior tribe. They're very powerful, headstrong, very stubborn, and they have that wild nature about them. It's not to say that they're uncivilized or primitive or or primitive in this modern day sense. No, it just means that they were just very energetic. They were lively. They moved around a lot. Next is going to be the tribe of Naphtali, and that's in the Hebrew means Naphtaliah, and that goes into it means my wrestling. Oh, well, before I do that, let me go back to the tribe of Reuben. This is going to be the book of Genesis, chapter 29, Salakia. Genesis 29 and 30, Salakia, concerning the tribe of Reuben. And it says, and he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with them yet 7 other years. In verse 31, it said, and when the Lord Yahweh saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Verse 32, Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, surely the Lord Yahweh hath looked upon my affliction, now therefore my husband will love me. Okay. Okay, so that was the firstborn son. So, since Rachel was barren, and her sister Leah, Salaki, I just lost it. The Lord opened up her womb. All right. Let's see. So that's concerning the tribe of Reuben. Okay. Now we're going to Naphtali, Naphtaliah, meaning that's how you say it in Hebrew, means my wrestling. All right, and Genesis 49, verse 21, and it says, Naphtali is a hind let loose, he giveth goodly words. Okay, so the so-called, the tribe of Naphtali are the so-called Argentinians to Chile of South America. In fact, let me get the book of Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 23. Let me get this real fast, just to drive this little bit of point home here. Deuteronomy 33 and 23. And it says, and of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor and full with the blessing of the Lord, possess thou the west and the south. Okay? Possess thou the west and the south. So over here in the Western world, the Western hemisphere, and if you look at South America, where Argentina and Chile are, they're in the southwest region of South America, right? So possess the west and the south. All right? And also look at the land that they're in, because let me go back to Genesis 49. Genesis 49 and 23, and it says, no, sorry, 49 and 21. Naphtali is a hind let loose, he giveth goodly words. Okay, now when you look at the word hind, it's talking about a female deer. Now, the tribe of Naphtali, when you look up something called the Gaucho, which were basically cowboys who were renowned for it's in the South American folklore and legend that they were South American cowboys that were known for their wild nature, but at the same time they were known for their going to the history. Just give me a minute. Just trying to remember, but they were skilled horsemen, and they were known for their skills as also farmers and agriculture, and amongst other things, and if you and they were also very wild, and they were also riders, if I remember. But in that land, they were basically and if you look at the land of Argentina and Chile, it's a very it's a land where you basically, let me get a Slovakia, let me go back to Genesis 29 here. Oops, give me a second here. But the land, that's where Naphtali was fruitful, because also in South America, a lot of things are not, GMO. A lot of things are natural. And it's a land where, where a lot of crops grow, a lot of fresh produce. And it's a land that's just flush with, water, green, all that. Let's see here. 30. Let's see here. 30. Let me see. Great wrestling. Yeah, so Bilhah was Rachel's maid, which conceived a second son unto Jacob. And Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister and have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. So, you know, during that time when Rachel was barren, you know, her sister, Leah, was just getting popped by Jacob, you know, baby after baby. And then, it said that, let me go back to verse 1. This is Genesis 30:1. It says, and when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. Verse 2, and Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in the Most High's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of thy womb? Verse 3, and behold, and she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. So, Rachel was going through it, man. She was, not able to, have kids, And back then, in those times, women wanted to have kids. But when you look at modern day women nowadays, a lot of them talk about, they don't want to have kids. Or when they do have kids, they don't know how to be an actual mother, according to scripture. They're just called a baby mama. That's it. They don't know how to be an actual mother. All they want to do is still have fun, even when they have kids. They don't know a thing about responsibility of taking care of a kid. Excuse me. All right, so in that wrestling, like I said, with the I'm gonna go a little bit more into the history, but let me get just a little bit of the more history. But we're gonna go to the next, which is the tribe of Asher. Okay, which is the so-called Colombians to Uruguay, and to say it in the Hebrew is Ashar. Okay, now since we're in the book of Genesis, the 49th chapter, I skipped it. Oh my gosh, I can't remember that far. This is going to be the book of Genesis chapter 49. And Ashar means happy is he. And we're going to go to verse 20. Genesis 49:20. And it says, out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Okay? Now, when you go into that, when you go into the word, let's see. And like I said, from Colombia to Uruguay, or all around there in South America, from Colombia to Uruguay. So the majority of that is Brazil, Colombia, Uruguay, French Guiana, and who else? Like the majority of that region is Ashar or Asher. And it says, I'm gonna read it again, 20. Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainty. So in South America, especially Brazil, if you really think about it, Brazil is like their land is known for their crops, their fields, because everything that's there, it's all natural. There's non-GMO, nothing's GMO, everything's natural. Even the women are natural, beautiful, gorgeous, and I won't go into any more detail, but yeah, they're Brazil is known as the bread basket of the world, man, because everything is, like I said, the fresh produce, the resources, the food, everything. Okay, you can even you can look it up for yourself, the agriculture of Brazil, and as along with Colombia, Uruguay, and all those other countries that are down there. I'm gonna get Deuteronomy 33 and 24. Deuteronomy 33 and 24, and it says here, and of Asher he said, let Asher be blessed with children, let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil. Okay, and that oil goes into, like I said, those resources, the natural. Then you can look at South America all together. I mean, Everything there is just basically all natural. Nothing's GMO. The resources, the land itself, everything is, you know, it's flush and full of goodly stuff, dainties, you know. Okay, next is going to be lastly is going to be the tribe of Issachar. And when you look up the tribe of Issachar in the Hebrew, I mean, it's Yashashakar, which means he is hired. All right, and I'm going to go into Genesis. But before I get the 49th chapter, I'm going to get the Genesis chapter. Oh yeah, and like I said, with Asher, who was a son, whom Leah gave birth to. That was Zilpah. Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son, which was Asher. Now, give me a second. Okay, yep, the fifth son. Okay, Genesis 30 and 17. And the Most High hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob the fifth son. And Leah said, the Most High hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. Okay, and this is okay, so let's go to Genesis, the 49th chapter. In Genesis chapter 49, verse 14. And it says, Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens. 15. And he saw that rest was good, and the land that was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute. So, if you look up the physical if you look up the, this is kind of going to like an animal totem thing. If you look up the spirit animal of a donkey and the characteristics of it, donkeys are strong, intelligent, and hardworking. And you can relate that to the tribe of Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, because think about it. In this day and age, you see the so-called Mexicans, they work their ass off, and they're very, very intelligent people. In fact, roughly paraphrasing scripture, the tribe of Issachar, they're the ones that could also tell the signs of the seasons and all that. So, the tribe of Issachar, they're very intelligent people. The so-called Mexicans are very, very smart. And like I said, they're hardworking, they're humble, and they're good. They have good manners. Okay? And they're very determined. They don't give up so easily. And it's and not only that, but when it comes to, you see Issacharites, they work in construction, warehouse, and even in the trust me, like, you get what I'm trying to say. But Issachar, they work, and let me see, and it's in verse 15. And it says he's a strong ass couch. Genesis 49 and 14. Issachar is a strong ass couching out between two burdens. And those two burdens are two lands, Central America and North America. Verse 15, and he saw that the rest was good. And the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear and became a servant under tribute. So in Mexico, you know, it is a nice land. You know, sometimes people go there for vacations. But, you know, as of right now, the way things are, it's not looking so good due to what's going on right now. Now, when it says becoming a servant unto tribute, you can go into the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. Okay, how the Spaniards, of course, they were on their conquest for world power domination. When they came over here, you know, rape, robbery, murder, enslavement, indoctrination, and you know, and the Aztecs were Issacharites. Okay, so you know, they became servants under tribute. So you know, the Issachar is not just a hard worker, but you know, he's a servant, just like all the rest of the tribes. We're servants under tribute to these other nations. Okay, they took us down, and here we are right now, still under the curses. Okay, in fact, let me go back to Deuteronomy. It'll come back, but the 28th chapter, just to let you know some of the curses that we are under. See, this is oh, there it is. Salakia, the scripture I was looking for earlier, which is pertaining to one of the curses and to why our people are divided against each other, is right here. Kol halo Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children which he shall leave. Okay? So our people are divided again amongst each other. We're against each other, fighting each other all the time. Always seeing one group of people or one tribe to be superior to the other. You know, we shouldn't, you know, that's the thing. Competition brings about division because it brings about that attitude of pride, thinking, oh yeah, I beat you, so I'm better than you. You know, that right there can cause strife, jealousy, and division. Okay? Competition brings about sin, right? So, you know, we shouldn't be in competition with one another. You know, being as the 12 tribes of Israel, we should be working together. Okay, being divided like this is why we are getting our asses kicked right now, and have been for the last 400 plus years. Okay, now so yeah, that was the script I wanted. That was out. It just came back to me. You know, Kol halo Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai for that, but right, so we're going to get the book of Romans. All right, okay, here we go. But here we go. Romans, this is Romans 8 and 16. It says, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the power. Okay? The Spirit beareth witness, okay? You can, like I said, you can look up your secular history and correlate it to the scriptures, to the biblical history. And it does not lie. And this also comes with faith, that we are the children of Yahweh b'Hashem Yahushai, the 12 tribes. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Asher, and Issachar. Okay, and also the speckled bird whose father's line goes back, and which is in Isaiah Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11. And it says, and it shall come to pass that in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And verse 12, it says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. And it says here in verse 13, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. Okay? So again, there's not going to be any more strife between the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. And there's, like I said, for the speckled bird, which, goes into the fact that, the Israelites being scattered. So you're going to have Israelites that are going to look like some of these other heathen nations, like the Middle Eastern Indians, Asians, so-called white, Africans, the Pacific Islanders or Polynesians. You're going to have Israelites that are scattered amongst those people. And the only way you can tell they're Israelites is by trying the spirit. You got to discern. Just kind of watch them and see how they conduct themselves. And if they have that lively spirit that sets them apart, but you can tell that they're under the curses, then you'll be able to know that, okay, this is not a so-called white man, even though he looks white, but this is an Israelite. Or that's not an Asian. That's an Israelite. So, Jeremiah chapter 50. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. And it says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast, they refused to let them go. Okay? So the bulk of the tribes are here in the Americas: Canada, North America, Mexico, Central America, and South America, and the Caribbean islands, okay, and the Bahamas. All right, while the rest of the nation Israel, the speckled bird, are scattered throughout all the other nations. As I said before, we are the sands of the sea. We have the biggest population. Verse 34, their Redeemer is strong, the Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. Disquiet meaning he's going to deprive them of peace and tranquility. He's going to stir up hell in this place, and he already is. But as of right now, it's just to a low level. It's going to only amp up as the days, weeks, and months go by. As you can see with all the mass shootings, the robberies, and of course, with the whole thing with now that the whole thing with the border, you have all these illegal immigrants when really this is their land because they were here first, coming here, now it's an issue. Verse 35. It says, a sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. Okay? Verse 36, a sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. Okay? So, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is preparing a great, righteous, yet terrifying judgment for Babylon, aka America. Okay? America, Lord willing, that this be the year when all hell breaks loose. Because the moment all hell breaks loose, the faster we can get the hell up out of here. Lord willing, that we make it on the first go around. All right, this is going to be Revelation chapter 18. Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. And it says, "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive none of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities." Okay? So when it says, "Come out of her, my people," that's not talking about like physically getting yourself out of America. No, it's talking about, leaving behind these wicked ass, abominable ways of this place, all the atrocities, all the abominations, all these vain philosophies, forget about them. Leave them behind. They are nothing. Okay? They don't benefit you. The only thing that benefits you truly 100% is this word. That's what benefits you. Okay? And these people keep saying, God bless America. No. And it's funny, even the heathen are starting to realize that, that America is in trouble. It's in the world, it's going down the drain. Even the heathen know. But our people are so damn stupid that all they can think about is just partying and having fun. That's why I do not feel sorry for the 2/3. None of us do. I do not feel sorry for them, not one damn bit. Whatever they get, whatever they righteously get, they righteously deserve. To hell with them. And roughly paraphrasing, the children of this world are wiser than the children of light. So that right there tells you that the heathen have more sense than our own people. And yet we're the Lord's chosen people. That's an embarrassment to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, that his people that he chose to be his are less intelligent than the heathen when it comes to terms of knowing what the hell is going on right now. That's an embarrassment. All right, going back to Romans chapter 11, and it says Romans 13 and 11, Salakia. Romans 13 and 11, and it says, "And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than we believed." And it is. It's time for the 12 tribes of Israel to wake up. Okay, it's time to wake up. It's been time to wake up. We're almost at the end of this. And it's only going to get harder. We are at the end of this. Okay? It's time to wake up and stop living in it's time to wake up and stop living in La La Land. Stop all this him-han and lollygagging and pussyfooting around. Alright? So that was a lesson on the 12 tribes of Israel. And I hope that it was edifying unto the body and to those that are new coming in, listening and learning with all sincerity. I'd like to give all the honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles, a great millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Ba'ath Davadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad. I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. See you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Kwam Yasharallah, Wa Abad Babal. Shalom, Barakatam.